Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. So today is kind of a heady topic. It's one of those topics that I should definitely have written notes down for, but I don't like to do that. I don't like to prepare my videos. I don't want to know what I'm going to say before I say it. I want to think about things, find them interesting, and at the nearest possible convenience, convey them to this little black dot with the blue light. Because it's always better when your natural, authentic, true voice comes out of your mouth. And I really like a well-prepared video too when I watch other people who do them. But there is something about changing what you say for your audience that possesses you in a way that I am not interested in being possessed. I love you. I don't want you to possess me. I want to say what I want to say. And that brings me to what this video topic is about. Like I said, it's a heady one. It's about the Messiah complex. I brought it up in the last video, and I've really been avoiding the topic, not just with you, but with anybody who knows me. It is something I do not talk about in the slightest way. I had one friend, one glorious friend that I was free to talk about this stuff with, and even then there were it was a condensed, rather edited version of what was really happening in my brain. So my big Kundalini awakening happened in 2003. By the way, if you happen to be watching this on Friday, which is the day that I'm recording it, on tomorrow morning, so it will be the 23rd tomorrow, I am doing a live with another channel. I'm going to be live on his channel, and hopefully you can pop over there and check it out. I'll put the link to the channel and all that information below. I'll put it on a community post probably, but we're going to be talking about Kundalini stuff. So it's on my mind, because my story is like, and I've said a couple of things here, but the full depth of what I mean when I say Messiah complex is really hard to convey. It's really hard to convey. And the reason that it's hard to convey is because we live in a society where spiritual experiences, transcendental states, opinions about the ethers have been pathologized. So we have become so entrenched in logic as the only truth that nothing else is acceptable. And if you are a human being, you are not simple logic that can be explained or understood even by your own damn self. You don't understand yourself. You see the world around you, and it is a separate form that you have to try to make sense of. And that's what we're all living with. We have a capacity to comprehend patterns, and with this capacity, we attach logic that doesn't fit with spirit. Spirit and logic do not actually go together because spirit is infinite, eternal. There is no end to it. There is no way to end it. And from that framework, we create things and turn them into more things, and then define those things and define the relationships between those things and define the meaning about the relationships of those things. And within all of that, there's an identity that forms, and the identity creates more patterns out of things that already exist. We apply symbols, language, meaning, metaphor. We create stories. The stories have layers It's all in our mind. And mind is a symbol for something that is beyond true grasping. It can't be defined. And so when you really get that, there's a freedom there that is too big. Yet you really, really want to share it. So in order to fully grasp Messiah complex, and I had to stop and think, do I want to tell you, will you understand it if I tell you what it was like for me to have a Messiah complex? Or is it better to tell you the obvious pointers, the physics, the what's happening spiritually speaking to create a Messiah complex? And well, I'm just gonna keep talking. We'll see what happens. That's an inside joke. Anyways, when I first woke up here the second time around, my second awakening in 2014 was very painful because I could no longer exist in the world of patterns that had already been established for me by everyone who said, you're crazy, 10 years prior when I had my real awakening. When you can't tolerate your world crumbling and the whole idea that you thought reality was made of around you, and you have no structure, you will grasp that structure. And I did that for sure. And my awakening lay dormant for many years because of it. But let me not digress too much. So the last 7-8 years of being involved in any sort of spiritual movement on social media, what people have presented the loudest to my reality has been, you create your own reality. I've seen it over and over and over. You create your own reality. And what a loaded thing to say from a state of being which is embedded in patterns and identity. It really makes you get at the heart of things. Sorry about the lighting's getting all wonky. Let's stay focused. That must be my warning. You're going off track, lady. You create your own reality. So part of the problem with the Messiah complex is you want to fix everybody's patterns, their disbelief, the things that they can't see. You have suddenly found yourself beholden to what feels like a revelation to end all revelations. A real spiritual awakening. When I woke in 2003, I think that was the real Kundalini awakening. That was when the real big thing happened. I was Jesus. I was Christ. I didn't know anything about Buddha. So that was literally my only connection to the spiritual world was Christianity. I knew a little bit about shamanism and animism because my dad was native, and so I had already kind of like looked into that stuff a little bit, having been a weirdo spiritually speaking, because I thought maybe that would give me something. And you all of a sudden you're in this state of all powerfulness. It literally feels like you can do anything. I walked outside in the middle of winter in my bare feet because it was like cold. What's cold? Cold, does that matter anymore? I can totally imagine that once you get past the idea of all of these patterns, right? That the pattern that we've been told, if you put bare skin on ice cold snow, it will freeze. That is both a pattern that we have seen and a statement. And it takes a little bit of further investigation to prove that wrong. So here's the thing about the Messiah complex. You will find this most beautiful states of being, which undoes all of these patterns of limitation that you have previously felt. Suddenly, you are flooded with the best feeling that you didn't know existed. It is like all of your energy is just good. And how do you explain that to someone before they feel it? You can't. It's not possible. It's not possible to convey into words. So it gives you this sense of wanting to save people from not feeling it. You want them to know that there is a non-suffering state. And the problem is that too is a pattern. And you don't see it as a pattern as the time, because you've only experienced the opening. You haven't experienced the full knowledge of that opening. The inferring that comes from that opening has not happened yet. So you are still using the fact that everything before it was true, and now you're experiencing something that questions everything, but you have not applied this new information to everything yet. So it's like living in two different worlds for a minute, and everything really needs to get fixed. So it's real easy to fall into a who do I know, what do I know, that sounds like what I am experiencing. And that's going to come from whatever cultural reference point you have. If it was normalized in our society, if it was something that anybody told anybody about, besides religion, but just as a normal state of development, that, you know, if we gave people drugs to try to stop them from growing into an adult, and someone somehow missed that drug and they grew into an adult, we would think that they were an anomaly, when all along that's what they were supposed to be turning into. There's this cultural narrative around the thing. And then, you know, all of the lore that goes along with Christ as King ideas and that thinking. And to really use that information for being able to create your reality truly requires you to change. You have to undergo a Kundalini awakening, an energetic shifting and change to your entire physical nervous system, in order to stop seeing the patterns the same way that you always have. And then it takes a while to stabilize in it. That is the transfiguration. It is the only way to be born new. If you are waiting for somebody else, which will also work, someone else can come along and tell you, those patterns ain't right. This is the pattern. Watch me. I'm going to show you how to change the pattern. Their influence on your perception, if you ever would believe them, would be enough to also change your own patterns, and all of a sudden new, great, beautiful, wonderful things are happening. And it's just a weird aspect of reality that is really hard to describe until you've experienced it. Reality is made of patterns. The patterns are given importance, resonance, meaning. We prefer beauty. We prefer extended states of peace and pleasure. We have an idea about life, which makes us repel what we view as not life. These are all patterns, deeply held ideas about reality. And in order to break through that before death, you have to change the patterns within yourself. So you can do that by spiritual practice and the art of purifying the mind, soul, physicality, by telling new stories. But the sustained state of recognizing yourself as a spiritual being capable of creating patterns as opposed to being witness to them or subject to them. That's this concept of grace that is hard to convey because you don't exactly know where grace caught you and had its altering process to your self and sense of self. But to have a physical dynamic system in alignment with its own divinity, the ability to make sense of reality by way of your own relationship with your own self, and to do that in harmony, whether you like it or not, with other beings. Like, that's the other side of the Messiah complex. The initial stages of the Messiah complex is that you want to save everyone. You want to save them all because you have found something and you do not see that they have it because you didn't. And they are still in the old paradigm of your mind. When you're through the process, you no longer see them that way. Now, maybe you can understand all that without going through it, but it is actually a pretty big undertaking to be both individuated and not at all individuated at the same time. So I'll leave that there. Hopefully some of that made sense to anyone at all. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. Take care. Bye.